If ever I've seen a quick look over there, that is it.
The scandal has badly shaken the Liberals and forced the Premier to apologise and launch an investigation.
Projects, everybody knows that government's ability to pay for things isn't unlimited.
He told investigators personal email was used to avoid freedom of information requests. So
it's time that the Legislative Assembly moves into the correct century.
Yes, as we promised, we are right back here with you again. And we're here to jump in on Christy Clark's Nightmare. I'm Darren Howard.
I'm Robert Nisbet.
And I'm Monica Solmark.
We're so glad to have you along as people are waking up around the world and we bring you news and information that mainstream news kind of glances over. Thanks to the CTV for bringing the next segment for you as we jump into the BC provincial election. Starting off with this.
More action at the legislature today. The Liberals are trying to turn the tables on the NDP, accusing the opposition of using a staff member to conduct ethnic outreach. Christy Clark is fighting a scandal that won't go away after the plan was uncovered to woo ethnic voters with taxpayer dollars. The Premier and her government have been off balance ever since, and they're trying to regain their footing before you head to the polls in May. Our legislature reporter Stephen Andrew has the latest.
So again, I ask the Premier, will she commit today so the public can have some faith in an independent investigation of this scandal?
the NDP is back at it, attacking the government over a plan to use taxpayer money to lure ethnic votes.
If ever I've seen a quick look over there, that is it.
The scandal has badly shaken the Liberals and forced the Premier to apologise and launch an investigation. The scandal also cost Christy Clark two key members of her team, Assistant Deputy Minister Kim Hackstead and Cabinet Minister John Yap. And now another investigation, this one called and led by Liberal Caucus Chair Gordon Hogue.
And so you don't believe that the Premier's investigation is sufficient?
It doesn't include caucus.
Today, the Liberals shot back, criticising the NDP for having someone on staff paid by taxpayers doing outreach in the ethnic community. Gabrielle Yu is now the NDP candidate for Vancouver-Fraserview.
For the last several years, he's been being paid by the public. Does he get paid by the public to prepare for his election campaigns while he's out there doing this? I think it's a fair question to ask.
Absolutely. He has received no money. There has been no contract with Gabriel, no payments to him from the time that he declared his intention to seek the nomination in 2011, and then the contract was terminated the day he was successful.
MLAs will be sitting here at the legislature for only 4 more days next week, and before the provincial election campaign begins. When they're back, a new government will be installed. And for now, politicians on both sides of the House are looking to run out the clock and make sure they make no mistakes. But that doesn't mean mistakes from the past go away. The result of one investigation into the ethnic vote scandal should be public next week. Stephen Andrew, CTV News, Victoria.
Okay, so if you're an ethnic minority and you're a member of the legislature, you're getting convicted of ethnic vote getting because you're ethnic? Did I get that right?
I think the scandal is they're using government funds, taxpayer funds, to go after ethnic votes.
But he's Chinese.
Oh, I think that's just a coincidence.
Coincidence?
I don't know. What do you take away from that? I mean,
I kind of feel like a mushroom, to be honest.
Like a mushroom?
A little bit in the dark, being fed a bunch of...
Yeah, I know.
Humus.
Yes, hummus.
But I love their tactic of, quick, look over there.
Quick, look what they're doing.
We're not doing anything wrong. Of course, Christy Clark, nobody voted for her. She was only focused on the oil.
Yes.
Okay? And it was just kind of embarrassing all the way around.
You know, Christy needs a panda.
Maybe that would make her feel loved, yeah.
That might
but
help.
Meanwhile, she's still getting flack from within or her own party.
I know. It is brutal. Okay, so do you want to run the clip?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to take up a fund to get Christy Clark her own panda while we run this clip. Thanks for joining us.
The Liberal government has just 3 days more in the legislature before the end of the session and potentially the end of its reign in British Columbia. When MLAs come back in the fall, there will be a new government in place, and many of the people who helped to put the Liberals into power last time will not be there to bolster their fortunes this May. One of those people gave the Premier a new headache today. CTV's Stephen Andrew reports.
If Premier Clark is looking for a break from criticism, today isn't the day. And this time it's not the NDP attacking Christy Clark. The comments are coming from within the Liberal caucus. Former Finance Minister Kevin Falcon telling the Globe and Mail the Premier overstepped her bounds when she announced the tallest wooden building in the world would be built in Prince George. The Wood Innovation and Design Centre was meant to be a massive showcase.
But, you know, the projects, everybody knows that government's ability to pay for things isn't unlimited.
But Falcon says the project was scaled back because Clark should not have made the promise in the first place, because the province didn't have the money to pay for it. Now the former finance minister's words are being used to ridicule the project.
In terms of its fiscal management, has been found wanting, not by me, but by Mr. Falcon. That's what happened today. One, that there are serious issues about the way this procurement process took place, and of course, this major project that the government spoke of at length in the House today hasn't actually happened.
Falcon, who is not seeking re-election, was absent from the legislature today, leaving the Premier struggling to answer questions as to why he is criticising her.
I mean, I don't know what motivates anybody's comments.
The Liberals are clearly upset with those MLAs who have chosen not to run again, speaking out and making life difficult for the party. And they're looking forward to the beginning of the election campaign when they'll have a new slate of candidates. And as they say, a day can be a lifetime in politics, and there's 3 more days left in the sitting of the legislature. And those MLAs who are seeking re-election are hoping that between now and then there will be no more in their ranks speaking out and no more leaks. Stephen Andrew, CTV News, Victoria.
So do we get a collective golf clap, do we? Oh, way to go!
Way to go!
Well, you know, I mean, those hits just keep on coming for the Liberal government.
We didn't even vote for this, you know, for Christy Clark.
No, we voted for Premier Drunken Bum.
Yes.
I mean, Gordon Campbell.
Yes, that's right. You know, one of those guys is not invited to the show anymore.
Right,
You know, because we have the internet. I can't wait until she gets kicked out. Although we're taking a look at Adrian Dix, okay, we will be looking at their platform very closely.
Oh, we'll be putting the NDP under the microscope.
Yes, and also we're talking about poverty solutions, not more BS.
No, we want to actually know where their platforms are going to be on those issues.
Yeah. But did you hear about that, the wood building in Prince George?
Honestly, I didn't.
Actually, I didn't hear anything
What
about
could
it
go
until I
wrong?
saw this article either, you know.
Yeah, I know. But that's how well informed we are about provincial and politics.
But I did hear about the vote scandal, the ethnic vote scandal, and of course we do have the results of the investigation.
Okay. Okay, let's run this one.
Now to the legislature and the report into the ethnic vote scandal. It says provincial bureaucrats were used in the plan to lure ethnic votes to the Liberal Party, and several staffers breached public service conduct. A former communications director spent half his time working for the Liberal Party and sent more than 1,000 confidential government emails to his personal account. He resigned before the scandal broke for another job, and the Liberals have since paid the province back $70,000. CTV's Stephen Andrew joins us now with more on the investigation, what it found, and the fallout. Stephen.
It started with this leaked memo, a plan to use government resources to lure ethnic votes to the Liberal Party.
Okay, good morning.
John Dybel and his team of senior deputy ministers determined officials breached the public service standards of conduct. Government resources were misused. Confidential information was sent to personal email accounts, and contracts were mishandled, forcing payment of nearly $17,000 for unapproved work. And the investigation found this man, former communications director Brian Bonney, spent about half of his time working for the Liberal Party while earning $124,000 on the government payroll. Premier Clark is promising to make swift changes, discipline those involved, and pay back any taxpayer money used to pay for the Liberal vote plan.
The BC Liberal Party has already written a check for $70,000, which is what we estimate that cost might be. If it is more, we will write another check.
Former Multiculturalism Minister John Yap was forced to leave cabinet over the scandal. He told investigators personal email was used to avoid freedom of information requests. The opposition believes Dybel's review doesn't go far enough, and wants an independent investigation.
The Premier's office, a Minister of the Crown, and a senior communications director using their offices day after day after day to collect information from citizens and transmit it to the BC Liberal Party, and nobody seems to be concerned about that in this government, and that speaks to me about the need for them to spend some time in opposition.
Christy Clark is hoping she's done enough to put the scandal behind her so that doesn't happen. But it is certain the NDP will be reminding voters of the scandal right up until Election Day.
All right, Stephen Andrew reporting. Stephen, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the hits just keep adding up.
Yes, but I mean, that almost seems like criminal, not just sitting in opposition. I think they should be sitting in jail.
Yeah, but, you know.
Yeah, kind of underhanded, don't you think?
I get that squeegee feeling. Okay,
Yeah.
That, ew, I got to wipe my hands, okay? Well, we got time. Let's run one real
One
quick.
more
Yes?
scandal? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Do you smell a smell?
I smell something. Oh, it's the Liberals.
A Liberal MLA is under fire tonight after another scathing report by BC's Auditor General. John Doyle has serious questions about how your tax dollars have been used to renovate and lease the MLA's office. And those questions come on the eve of another report, a potentially explosive one that comes tomorrow. We learn the results of the investigation into the ethnic vote scandal that has rocked the Premier's office. CTV Stephen Andrew reports.
I think it's curious that I'm the only one that's ever been asked.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
you must have had some thought.
no, I don't. I just thought it was curious.
Liberal MLA Eric Foster is facing tough questions following another stinging report by BC's Auditor General. John Doyle says a prepayment of leasehold improvement costs to Foster's constituency office was in violation of the Legislative Assembly policies. That money was used for building improvements. Doyle says he has concerns around the arm's-length nature of the lease agreement because Foster's constituency assistant was married to one of the building's landlords. Foster cannot explain why his constituency office budget is now paying some of that money back. He maintains he did nothing wrong.
I find it interesting that I'm the only person that anybody looked at for a renovation. And it just all of a sudden seemed to have happened over the last number of months.
John Doyle is also critical of an ongoing practice to pay senior officers of the legislature as contractors, taking off no taxes, but paying their MSP premiums, extended health benefits, and travel.
These unusual arrangements may have consequences, as they seem to be, separated out and quite different from what would normally occur for anyone, really.
Doyle says that arrangement is just one of many examples that show tighter control is needed over the legislature's books.
It's time that the Legislative Assembly moves into the correct century.
Can't comment on that because I haven't seen the report.
But Premier Christy Clark will be doing a lot of reading tomorrow when a report is released into an investigation looking into this memo. It's a plan to use government resources to lure ethnic votes to the Liberal Party. The scandal has already forced Clark's Deputy Chief of Staff, Kim Hackstead, to resign, and John Yap, the Minister of Multiculturalism, to leave Cabinet. It's expected once the investigation is made public, other people in government could lose their jobs. Stephen Andrew, CTV News, Victoria.
The hits just keep coming. Aren't you glad you showed up for work today?
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, we've got more ammunition against Christy Clark than, well...
They didn't make it into today's report. And while they're not making many more mistakes because they're not sitting in legislature now.
So we get to vote on their track record.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Pretty strong, actually.
Yeah?
Pretty strong about that.
Pretty strong NDPer now, right?
Well, and I'm also wondering...
Well, maybe not.
Actually, we are going to put it all underneath the microscope. This is just the beginning of our election coverage right here at Radio Free Canada. Because remember, unemployed politicians make a happy democracy. I'm Darren Howard.
I'm Robert Nisbet.
And I'm Monica Solmer.
We'll be right back after these.